you got to try and bring the right people in and not worry about the dollar. Just worry about how is this going to work. Don't look at your bank account. Just work on systems and processes.
If that's right, the dollar will work itself out.
That's it. Yeah.
Welcome to the Build Insite Podcast. Real people, real insights. Step into the world of innovative construction, one conversation at a time.
Today's guest is Cheesman, one of the faces behind the Melbourne Builder. He's leading the way in innovation in high-end architecture and event spaces. Let's get into it.
All right, so Dale, the Melbourne Builder, welcome to the Build Insite Podcast, mate. I reckon you would be one of the more unique builders that we've actually had on here, dabbling in a bit of, so we got high-end resi, we got event space and hospitality, joinery.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Dean. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's really exciting to come on. And yeah, have a bit of a chat. I don't know if it was a good thing being unique or not.
I was going to say, what are you aiming at there, Luke? Dale's
going to be some good conversation, that's for sure.
I think definitely unique, mate. I've been following the Melbourne Builder and your journey for a number of years, mate. I wouldn't remember what, and done some pretty special homes around Melbourne. Stand out being the Melbourne Builder with that there, mate. So that's good marketing.
Yeah,
from the start.
Yeah.
But can we wind it back a bit, Dale? Like, where did the building journey start for you?
I came out of school, tried to study into something completely different, but then realised that I wasn't the study kind of guy, and went into construction, into getting an apprenticeship in carpentry. And, it's a tough 4 years of a carpentry apprenticeship. I think the biggest shift was waking up early. It was a big thing. And, the cold mornings and the labour intensive. And back in the early 2000s, it was pretty much you were a labourer as a builder apprentice. You were digging holes and things like that. So, yeah, it was tough going. And then once I finished my apprenticeship, stayed with the same builder the whole time. And Jeff, my old boss, he went through a few recessions. So we did everything: bricklaying, tiling, concreting. We did the works, carpentry. So I wasn't great at carpentry, but I knew building and I knew joint. We did a bit of joinery as well. So I think that set me up to be able to, work on things once I started business with my business partner, Sean. So, yeah.
I think that's so valuable, though, you look back in hindsight at getting exposed to everything. I had the same sort of type of apprenticeship and actually worked a lot with my uncle, and we ended up like on his actual home at one point, did plastering, and with the plumber and the electrician helped like run the plumbing, the electrical,
all that. Yeah.
Obviously they signed it off, but concreting, insulation, the whole works. It sort of makes you understand how a home's properly constructed.
Well, I have this conversation with a lot of apprentices, because a lot of apprentices, carpentry apprentices, want to do, just timber, studs, hang doors. And I get that that's the exciting part, but you can learn that in a year. So we have lost a lot of young kids over the past, in the first 6 months, because they, find it a bit too labour intensive. So we've changed our ways in that. But I do wish kids could see the bigger picture.
Definitely. So when you finished your apprenticeship, what was the next step from there? You went out.
So Sean had finished his apprenticeship. He was a carpenter. He did his apprenticeship through a carpenter. I was through a builder, as I said, and we joined forces. We were doing a lot of Metricon Simmons, volume builders, purchase orders, getting in, doing all the carpentry. So I learned a lot from Sean as how to be a carpenter. He taught me a lot. So for a few years we were just working as hard as we could. The early days were great. Up and go in the morning, sausage roll with sauce, can of V, and off we went, and we just pumped the music and put the tool belt on, and it was really fun, fun.
So then back in 2010, I reckon, mate, was when the Melbourne Builder was founded.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about the early days of that and sort of,
well, that was
how it shaped where you are.
Yeah, so that was when we were doing carpentry. We worked out we needed to get a builder's license pretty quickly, because we started to get a lot of, I had a pretty big network. 2014, I got my builder's license, and then off it kicked from there, and we could advertise and market. But then probably by about 2016, 17, I realized that our marketing and our name was really bland and boring. And it was just when social media was kicking in, and I wanted to start an Instagram page that could showcase everyone's work in Melbourne Builders work. But someone said to me, "What are you doing that for? Why don't you just change your whole business to be the Melbourne Builder?" And it was a bit of a weird name for me to get onto, like the Melbourne Builder. But then once the branding came out, and then and you could see it on a car and on a T-shirt, and what the whole brand came together, it was really strong.
It's a very confident name.
Yeah. So that's where it kind of kicked off. And that's where things opened up with a few other arms of the business.
Yep.
So we will deep dive into that, Dale, but back 15 years ago, what was the starting point for the Melbourne Builder? What type of projects was the goal? Where did that lead to?
We didn't have a goal. Probably, I don't think we've ever really looked too far ahead. It was about just getting quality work. We were looking back, we were very good carpenters. We were quick. So yeah, the goal wasn't to go and build massive homes or have a joinery company or an event. It just has organically happened over time. And I think if you just put your head down and work, I think there's tough days. You've just got to stick with something. And like any business, I think if you get good, if you're a lawnmower, if you mow lawns for 10 years, you're going to be bloody good at it, and you'll be able to run a really good business.
Yeah.
At the start, mate, you start, obviously you're on the tools, you're chippy.
Yes.
And you go into the business.
Yeah.
So what was that like, that part of the journey?
I was probably, out of Sean and I was the lazy one. So that meant that I kind of went into more of the admin side of things and the ducking off to see a client and hopping in the car.
As in lazy, as in avoiding the physical work.
Yeah, pretty much. So Sean really loved carpentry, and he loved the hard work, and he still does. He's still a really hard worker. So, it just meant that's what the early days were like. It was hard to be able to juggle everything, but it was lucky that by having a partnership, I could do the admin in work hours and not consume me till 1 a.m. in the morning and be useless and not be creative.
Yeah. Where'd the partnership come from? How do you guys know each other?
We went to school together, but we were actually born in April 1986. So our mothers were in mother's group together.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing in that sense. But we didn't know each other through primary school and stuff, but we reconnected. We didn't know each other when we were babies either. So
yeah, so it goes way back.
It goes way back. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And that's kind of organically, over the years, and I'm happy to dive into that too, where we're on our own adventures too, in a way, in the same business as well. So we've got our own roles.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the fact that you said, and you touched on that, you were getting the admin and stuff done in work hours. I'm fortunate, my business partner's my brother, and we also go way back, but at the end of the day, like, I was the one, laugh, you lazy one. Back when we're both chippies and swinging the tools around, someone's got to step away and go and deal with it, or you both go and it just stops. So yeah, I was the one that was stepping away, and everyone's like,
there's pros and cons too. Like, I was probably copping the stress and hopping the clients, and Sean, would take the nail bag off at 4:30, whereas I was probably, dealing with a few extra things after hours. So there was pros and cons, and we never whinged about what we had to do. But yeah, it does help. And I would probably follow on to getting my builder's license. I was probably an early one to get my builder's license, but I booked a course in work hours.
Yeah.
I studied in work hours, and it was a bit of a sacrifice for the bank account, but we were able to get that license quicker.
Yeah.
And there's so many carpenters out there that probably delay it because they just don't have the time. And you really got to dedicate a good 6 months to get your builder's license.
Yeah.
It's you're looking back. How old were you when you got your license? Where were you at this stage?
I think I was I was in my 20s. So I think I was like 20, 26 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember walking in, and I got mine. I think I first went in with 24, 25 or something. And I remember one of the old VBA guys, I walked in and he goes, "Are you a bit young to be getting your builder's license?" It pissed me right off, because I'm like, know how to build a good house.
I copped the same thing too,
Yeah.
from an association that was kind of like, "You're not ready." And it was the day before my exam, and I was, shitting myself.
Yeah.
But
What you want to hear?
my tutor, yeah, exactly. Yeah, my tutor was like, "Nah, you don't open your books, like you've got this, and really pump my tires up. And it's a hard thing when you go through an apprenticeship in carpentry, you're not studying. So you're relying on your education at school, which, gets you by, but to be able to study and get, it's pretty much a diploma to get a builder's license. It's a lot of work for someone that doesn't like studying.
Yep. Yeah.
So I probably had it on record in my car. I had playbacks of questions. Like I just pounded myself with everything.
Yeah. 6 months is good, man. I rate that. I did mine like after hours at night school. Mine was probably a good 18 months, I reckon, to get my studies.
And that's probably where I was saying is like, if you can fast track it.
Yeah.
And my course went for 2 months, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, at Master Builders, because I was doing Monday and Tuesday full days.
Yeah, right.
Because I think that's the thing. If you smash it out, it's in your mind. You go and get a tutor that kind of can help you with what you need to know. Because to learn that whole NCC and stuff, it's a lot. Yeah.
For over 130 years, Bowen's has been the builder's choice, providing a service that provides timber, hardware and innovative building products.
And now we're helping you further with this wonderful partnership.
We're proud to announce Bowen's as our new premier sponsor, bringing you more of the insights that you love. Build Insight together with Bowen's.
Real people,
real insights. That flows on to business too, Dale. Like, good topics there is don't have to do everything yourself. And when we go from like having a tool bag on to learning about contracts and you're dealing with millions of dollars, it's completely different to swinging the tool and drinking V's and eating sausage rolls and all, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to, once you get to a point where something's consuming you, whether you've got to bring someone in. So if you're on site too much and you're ready for a site supervisor, then you can step away from that. From the admin side of things, when you're doing all the admin, you can get a CA in. So I think it's about replacing yourself in these roles and trying to get you out. I always try and get myself to do nothing, but I'm never doing nothing. Yeah. So I think that's how you try and get yourself out of the business and fill where you need to.
Yeah.
And probably tracking your hours to seeing what are you spending it on marketing, accounts. Well, if you're spending a lot of time on accounts, you can get someone in to do that. So yeah, working out what you're spending your most time on.
How did you find that when you first started tracking your hours? Was it a bit confronting?
It is a bit confronting, I suppose, where you lose all your time and energy and stuff. But it's hard to track as a director. It's hard to track my time because I'm dealing with probably 5% of everything.
Yeah.
Was there any big learnings or mistakes from the early days that I suppose fast track to the builder and businessman you are now?
Learnings and I think when we started out the business, we weren't really fully committed until 2005, 5 years on, we were committed. So that's where we went and got marketing and the branding and stuff. So probably learnings was, getting marketing. I wish I'd got it done a few years earlier, because then you can run out T-shirts for 20 years and the same stuff. So probably that's the only learning. But yeah, I don't regret anything. I think maybe be a bit more ballsier in decisions where we're quite conservative, but I like the fact that we've been conservative, we've been safe, and that means that we haven't gone belly up and yeah.
Mate, I'm keen to dive into, I guess, like the type of projects that you do. I want to start on the high-end resi. What does high-end resi mean to you? What's your ideal client? Like, tell us a bit about that part of the business.
I think high-end resi these days is, materials, stone, metal works like layers and details. I think working with really smart tradesmen because of the designs of these homes now, we really need to problem solve throughout the builds. Yeah. So that's high-end resi for me. Is you're working with really smart tradesmen, and it's high pressure. It's getting these finer detail shapes, curves, but also too is a lot of joinery involved in high-end resi. So that's luckily for us, it's in-house, so we can take care of that.
Is that where it came from?
No. So in 2015, I helped a mate out at the Arbory, which is Arbory Float that's on the Yarra, and it's pretty distinct in Melbourne. But they wanted to do a little champagne oyster bar, and it was tiny. We only had one day to bump it in. Car parking was 2 kilometres away, and we had to, I just said, yes, yeah, sure, we'll figure out something. And we made these bars. It was pretty much like a trestle table on its side. So it was aluminium, was really lightweight. So we pre-built it all, and then we put it all, and then run it down at 5 a.m. in the morning, set it all up. Yep. And then they wanted to store their stuff for the next year. We got a warehouse. The next year we got Spring Carnival, which is Melbourne Cup Carnival, which we tendered on a job, won the My Marquee, and then we bought a panel saw, Edge Bander, and that's where it started to grow. But then we started doing, a little bit of wardrobes and things like that. So, and our equipment wasn't great, but like the Edge Bander we bought off Marketplace, it was this old, conveyor belt thing that shook through, and we had to try and clean it up, but. Yeah, that's where the joinery started, was more around facilitating our events. And it happened quite quickly. And then in 2017, on our second year at the Spring Carnival, Lavazza, we won Lavazza's marquee, lots of curves. And I was like, Sean, why don't we just buy a CNC? And he's like, you're nuts. And then he jumped on board. He's like, nah, it's just pretty cool. And I've said it before. He lost his fiancée tragically in 2017, so it was real, it was our world was turned upside down for him. I wanted to support him as much as I could. He could only work 2 or 3 days a week, so he went into the joinery. He's not a joiner, he's never done joinery. He's as I said at the start, he's a gun carpenter, and he started learning the CNC. I think he drove the router straight through the bench on the first day. So it's probably like a story of us just having a crack. And we had training on the CNC he had training to learn how to use it. And we're like, could you just draw this for us while we're still doing the job out at Flemington? But yeah, we managed to work our way through it. It kept Sean's mind off what was going on at home. So yeah, that's how the joinery started with the CNC, and we've still got the same CNC to this day. So yeah,
let's dive into that further, mate, because this is where, I've, as I said before, followed your journey, the building of high res homes, but yeah, the event space. So how did that come about?
My wife's in the event industry, she's in PR, media, and she was in the guest lists and stuff for the carnival, and there's Australian Open events and now Grand Prix and things like that. So I was able to attend a couple of these, marquee birdcage stuff. Always looked at the jobs and think, how do they do this? And then they were looking for a builder in 2016. I put my hand up, went in, interviewed with them, and off we went.
Time frames, what's the
I remember looking at it going, how do we quote this, what is this? Is nuts. The plans aren't as detailed as architectural plans. It's just few sketches. This was back then, and time wise we don't have a lot of time, because the structure itself we don't build, whether it's a tent or whether it's now they're cubes, they're modular cubes, so we don't build that. But all these structures are coming from different places. So it might come from the grand final finishes, and then they transport that structure over to the birdcage. So we have limited time to build these. And so it's probably most of the time a month at the birdcage to get in and do the fit out.
Yep.
And it's long hours, it's fast working, and we've got a gun event team, and just old school carpenters that work 6 to 6, and it's amazing what you can achieve when you go out of that 7 to 3:30 mold, how much work you can actually get done. So yeah.
We are absolutely thrilled to announce that Circus Studio are coming on board as a major sponsor and supporter of Build Insite. Circus Studio is Australia's leading interior design centre. If you're an architect, building designer, interior designer, builder, or just looking to build your dream home, you need to make a time and come in and check out the space here in Port Melbourne. This space holds every element that you'll possibly need to design your dream home.
What was the real driving factor for it? So obviously,
No driving factor. It's just like have a dig on it, have a crack, go into it. And then it turns out that deadlines finish, the deadline doesn't move. So whilst that's stressful up to the time, but once it's over, you get paid, the job's done, and you're not dragging on for an extra 3 months trying to deal with all the office costs that you've got running and stuff. So that and it's year on year, so we know that job is coming at the same time. So it actually has provided us stability in our business. Yeah.
What's one of the craziest deadlines you've had to meet?
Oh, the Lexus marquee that we just finished. That was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it was a 3-story mansion. And that was really tough. Ferrari is we do that at Grand Prix, and that I think we get 8 days on the ground there. And when I say 8 days, like obviously we're planning the week before, we're trying to build as much as we can off site, but 8 days on site is pretty intense to get it done. It's not, the finishes are good, but they're not, you know, like a high-end residential build. So some of the things you just cork it or throw a bit of a skirting board on it, something like that. But yeah, it's pretty intense to get it done.
Just hope people drink enough so they don't pay attention.
Yeah, that's it.
Where
Kill it with 200 people. You can't see anything.
No, so that grew, Dale. So you've gone from high resi, so now you've got the separate teams.
Well, it all works. It all helps each other at the speed that we get from events. And the tight deadlines, we actually have brought it into residential market. I kind of call it a sprint. I think that if you have a deadline, it doesn't matter if it's in 6 months or it's in 2 months, it will get done by that deadline.
Yep.
And I like the fact, I think I've heard in other industries, they do these sprints. You can't sustain it. But I think sometimes if there's a job that's just lagging, you can kind of go, all right, that's the date. We're not moving from that date. And you just go hell for leather. And sometimes they're the best quality builds, the ones that we focus so heavily on. We work around the clock.
Yep.
Everyone's involved. And yeah, we're on one right now where the handover's tomorrow, and I don't know how we've got it done, but it's amazing, you know, because everyone's on board. Yeah. So we brought that to the resi, and then the resi, we've brought the quality to events. So in terms of our events team, we've got quality, and we've got time with speed. And then in terms of the cost point, we're actually quite cost effective. So in terms of the triangle, I try and make sure that if the business can tick all those 3, then you're doing really well. And that's the struggle with the residential side. Trying to tick all 3 of that triangle is really hard. And
Has the involvement with the event space so I should say your involvement with the event space, building those relationships, made it easier to get the design information plan better? Or is it kind of just like, it is that sprint? Here it is, let's go.
Yeah, it is. Are you saying like in terms of choosing materials on the run, or like?
Yeah, or more like your collaboration with the people who have you involved now?
Yeah, well, the people that are doing these events, they're probably more design interiors.
Yep.
So they're not architects. So they're more choosing colors and things like that. So yeah, they've got to make decisions really fast. Bringing that back to resi, trying to tell an architect, hey, you've got till next Wednesday, otherwise the cladding's going on, you know. So I think you can give a little bit of pressure back the other way in high-end resi to say, guys, we need to know this because it's going to cost us money if we don't get these answers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like there's probably, unless you're on the same page, there's not really an understanding of the financial point of view from the architect. And also in like the early stage, like obviously an architect's got financial stages to hit at certain things as well. So it's good to have that communication.
Yeah, and that they don't see that how time really hurts a business. I think we try to sometimes do a spreadsheet of the exact things that we need to know and what dates we need to have them and send it to them. And I find that really helps. And even if it's like, we need to know this in 3 weeks, we need to know the tile spec in 4 weeks, giving them that early, they can't really push back on you if they don't hit those dates.
Have you noticed of recently, obviously we've been through some, tough times in the building industry and volatile pricing and so forth, but have you noticed much of a market shift in recent times with the high-end resi?
Yeah, definitely. I think in Melbourne, our residential market, homes haven't really gone up in the last, say, 3 or 4 years. But then we've had building prices rise by 40, 50%. So once upon a time, we were renovating for clients that still had a bit of a profit in there if they sold their house on the day of handover. Now it's gone back the other way, and they're looking at it going, if I invest this in as for a renovation, my house isn't worth what I've put in. And that's the really hard part at the moment. Is some of the builds that are going ahead, those clients aren't looking at that. They're looking at what my family wants and for the next 10, 20 years. So they're the projects are going ahead, but the flips, they've stalled.
Yeah.
It's not viable.
Yeah, we're having this conversation, obviously, all at an event yesterday with the Boland's new building space out in Hastings, and it's been a little bit of a weird sort of time. Like, I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's people aren't just stopping going, I'm building that, because it's a harder time.
There's a number of factors that come into how the building construction industry drives, but I think residential market is a big, if the residential market went up 20% in the next 6 months, you'll see a lot of projects start going ahead.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that's a wrap for part 1 with Dale Cheesman from the Melbourne Builder. We'll see you next week for part 2.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you want to find out more about Build Insight, head over to the website buildinsite.com.au. Over on the website, you'll find links to previous podcast episodes, as well as our YouTube channel, Instagram and Facebook. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.
Well, that's a wrap for another week's episode of the Build Insite podcast. Before we leave, just want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors for their ongoing support. Without their help, Build Insight wouldn't be what it is today.
Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.